Everyone, this is Andrea Saavedra with the Cabot team. Right now we're going to go over filling out an inspection package for a buyer, and this is after he has gotten under contract. So yay, we have a house now. What's next? The inspection package. We're going to continue to work with John David. And we get here, remember we have our cover sheet, we have the buyer's red packet, we have done that part, we have done the offer documents, now we're under contract, and the next step is the inspection packet. On this one, you don't need to go onto your cover sheet to add any information because everything you can possibly need, it's already in the cover sheet form. You did it when you did the offer docs. So now just go into the inspection packet and again start looking over the documents one by one. So the general information and notices to a buyer, obviously your buyer's name goes right here. So it's John David Doe. Please note that it does not populate his information in here. So whenever it doesn't, that's when you actually type in the information in there. This one, there's not much information to it other than the signatures. Everything's going to be in there except the top part, which will be the buyer's name. So just add it in there, go back, and then go into your information about special flood zone. So now we have the property address in here. Take a look. Then when you go to the bottom, your buyer's name does not appear there. So you go onto your right arrow and find your buyer. So that's that. Then we go into the inspection. Inspector information. So your buyer's name is supposed to be here, but it didn't get populated. So I would just write it in, type it in here. And then you need the property address, so it's right there. Then you need today's date. And that's pretty much it. You have all the information you need. This is where you would add whether your buyer is doing or not inspections. So if they choose to do inspections, then you click in there, and then you have everything in there. So then you go move on to the next one, which is the notice of information from other sources. Again, my buyer's name is not coming up here, but I do have my arrow here. See, I don't see my buyer's name in here, so I would just go ahead and type it. Okay. Then we have a date, so I just add it in there, and then that's it. It's pretty simple. The next one is the Texas RE consumer. Nothing there. There's not, as you can see, there's not a line for a signature. So I'm only going to add the initials when I'm meeting with the buyer or if I'm doing it via DocuSign. And then the next thing is the notice to prospective buyers. I would just add the date in here. And that's pretty much it. Oh, and the name. So I look on my right arrow. My buyer name is there. So I'll just add it. And that's it. It's pretty simple. Now, it's getting to be more simple and more simple. Now we go on to this form. For me, that means I'm not getting any services fees from the home warranty. So it's already clicked in there. Nothing to do other than just make sure everybody's listed in here. Everybody is. So I go back. And so I'm done with all of my regular forms. As you can see, I have 3 PDF forms here. And normally I would just print this out. These are custom forms that I use. And whenever I'm meeting with the buyer in person, I would just handwrite the address here and have them initial either where it applies. For instance, are they buying a home warranty? Yes or no. So they will, if they're buying it, then they will put their initials here. If not, they will put their initials at the bottom. So make sure that this form has the address and initials in all of the 4 options here. So they either have a yes or no, and it's for 2 people, okay? I, the broker, sign this form, and the buyer signs this form as well, okay? Let me go on to the second one. And this one, basically, it's another custom form that says, hey, I'm giving you a list of inspectors, but I'm not actually telling you use this one, okay, or in a specific one. So all you do with them is have them sign this form and date it. Nothing to do there other than just have them sign it and make sure that you have the correct date on it. There's a lot of clients that I have that only speak Spanish, okay? And I explain most of the forms in Spanish. So I always tell them and give them copies of of the documents they sign. I always say, take these documents to somebody that knows English and have them translate the documents to you. I did it to the best of my knowledge, but you always have copies of your documents so anybody can help you understand them, okay? So all they do is sign and put the date, and that's it. So now I'm done with all of my documents. Since let's pretend I didn't meet with the buyer, I'm sending this via DocuSign. So what I'm gonna do is open up one of the documents and then go on to sign multiple forms, select all of the forms which have all of the disclosures I need, including my custom documents, and then go on to next, then send it to the buyer. And I think that there's at least one document that I have to execute myself. So I do it in the order that first I sign it and then second the buyer. Okay, so click done. So I have myself first and I have the buyer second. Then continue. It's populating my document. Okay, so this form only gets signed on the 4th page by the buyer usually. So the buyer is there and I'm here as well. And then the next one, it's the information for the property being in a flood zone or not. So see, this one is missing the signature, so I will just add his signature to it along with the date. Remember, inspection package gets executed like within a day or two after the contract has been executed, okay? It gets done right away. So you add a signature here for the buyer and you add the date, okay? This one is signed by Andrea, but as you can see, it's missing the signature, so I would just add it in here. And then also add the buyer's signature and date. This one you will notice the Texas Real Estate Consumer Notice, it does not have any places for a signature, but I will still have the buyer initial and put a date in it, okay? Notice to prospective buyer. It does not call for a signature, but I like to put my signature in it. So I add it in there. And then John David is the buyer. I'm gonna add his signature here because it's missing, okay? Now I have a complete document. Again, we signed and everything else it's in there, so we're good. On this one, remember that I need the property address to be added, okay? So what I do is I do this under Andrea, and then I add the text for the property, which in this case is 9507 Shatter Ridge Drive 77070. Okay. See, I added my address, the property address in there, and then let's say I spoke to the buyer and he already knows whether he's gonna do or not a home protection. For instance, on this one, the seller is giving a home protection to the buyer. That means the buyer is buying one, even though he's not paying for it, but he's still buying one. So initials go, they choose to purchase one. So that one goes right there. And the second one had been provided with information about property insurance for a buyer or seller forms. So the buyer will buy insurance. So at that point, his initials will go into the first one. He chooses to buy flood hazard insurance. And then the third one gives him an option to either buy or not a survey. On this one, he will go ahead and not order the survey because it's a cash deal. If it was a cash deal, he don't have to pay for a survey, so you would put that in there. And then the fourth one is he's given the option to do an appraisal. So he can probably say no to that one. But this is only if it's a cash deal. Keep in mind that this is not used for whenever you have a mortgage involved, because most of these items will happen either way. Then we're going to, oh, this one's missing signatures again. This is the buyer. This is the date for the buyer. And this is the broker, okay? And then the next one is this one. The buyer signs. Oh, sorry. Buyer signs and dates. Again, buyer signs and dates. And that's pretty much it. So all I do is go back and make sure that all of my signatures are in place. And if so, I'm gonna go ahead and send out this document. And I am done. Since I'm the broker, again, since I'm the first one to sign, I'm gonna immediately open my email to see if I got the DocuSign. Okay, so I got it. It's right here, and it says review documents. So I click on it. And I always sign first. Again, that's because you might go out and show property and the buyer will sign and he's not gonna get the documents until you sign. So I usually like to sign first because that's when I'm in front of the computer, and then have the buyer sign at last. Okay, so I'm done. Now it's the buyer's turn. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next video.